श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवम् यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिम् लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् यो नित्यम् अच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्दष्टजीवजीवातवे नमः।
श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रम् धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवम् यतीन्द्रप्रवणम् वन्दे रम्यजामातरम् मुनिम् यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये लोकाचार्याय गुरवे कृष्णपादस्य सूनवे संसारभोगिसन्दष्टजीवजीवातवे नमः। So after a gap of 1 week, on Saturday we are commencing once again. I'm very happy. And we continue with the Sutra number 95. Om Namo Narayana. We have completed the exposition of the first two important words, namely Om and Namaha. Now we come to the explanation of the word Narayana, Narayanaya. The 95th Sutra is as follows. Narayanam என்றதே நாரங்களுக்கு அயனம் என்ற படி நாரங்களாவனா நித்திய வஸ்துக்களினுடைய திரள் அவையாவன ஞானானந்தாமலத்வாதிகளும் ஞானசக்தியாதிகளும் வாத்சல்ய சௌஷீல்யாதிகளும் திருமேனியும் காந்தி சௌகுமாரியாதிகளும் திவ்யபூஷணங்களும் etc. So this is commented upon by Swami Manavana Mamni in this manner. Anantaram Narayana Padarthathai அருளிச் செய்கிறார். நாராயணன் என்கிறது என்றது என்று தொடங்கி, அதாவது நாராயண பதந்தான் நாராயணாமயனம் யஹா சஹா நாராயணஹா என்றும் நாராயணம் யஸ்ய சஹா நாராயணஹா என்றும் தத்புருஷ பகூரீஹி ரூப சமாசத்வய சித்தமாகையாதே அதில் தத்புருஷனில் அர்த்தத்தை முந்தர அருளிச் செய்கிறார். நாரங்களுக்கு அயனம் என்றபடி. So first the etymological meaning of the word Narayana is explained. What is the meaning of the word Narayana? So in Sanskrit language, or Sanskrit grammar rather, we deal with several types of compounds which are known as samasas. So there are basically 6 samasas, namely Tatpurusha, Bahurihi, etc. I will not go into that detail now. But this is a uniqueness and peculiarity of Sanskrit language, that one can analyze a word in 2, 3, 4 or 5 times, 5 different ways also, many a times. Not in all cases, but in several cases. For example, I will take the word Ramapriya. So there is a word called Ramapriya. What does it mean? It can mean Ramasya Priya, one who is liked by Rama. That is Ramasya Priya, one who is liked by Rama. That is known as Tatpurusha Samasa in Sanskrit. Why the name Tatpurusha came is a big story, altogether different story that I will not go into once again. It can also mean Ramaha Priyaha Yasya. So one who likes Rama, that also can be the meaning of the word Rama Priya. So for example, I will say Keshava Dasa Priya. Just for example, I am telling. So Keshava Dasa Priya means Keshava Dasasya Priya Keshava Dasa Priya. Keshava Dasji might like somebody very much. So let us say he likes Govindacharya very much. So then Keshava Dasa Priya refers to Govindacharya. But it can also refer to Narayana, who likes Keshava Das very much. Keshava Dasaha Priyaha Yasya. He also becomes Keshava Dasa Priya. That means a person who likes Keshava Das. So these two are the differences. These two are different from each other in the sense Keshava Dasa Priya means one who likes Keshava Dasa or one who is liked by Keshava Dasa. These are the two meanings. So Rama Priya means one who likes Rama as well as one who is liked by Rama. So one who is liked by Rama means, suppose I say Lakshmana. Rama likes Lakshmana very much. But one who is liked by Rama can mean an ordinary subject who is there in Ayodhya. So suppose I like somebody, it doesn't essentially mean that he should like me, he should reciprocate that feeling. For example, a father has a lot of concern for his son because he is his son. But the son may not have the same feeling for his father. He may not reciprocate that feeling. So these two are quite different. This is what one has to understand. But in this case, both the definitions hold good. Naranam ayanam or naraha ayanam yasya saha narayana. So Narayanam என்றது நாரங்களுக்கு அயனம். The ayana of the Naras. So what does the word Nara mean? And what does the word ayana mean? The word Narayana has two components. Two components, namely Nara and ayana. So for example, I will once again take the name Keshava Dasa. According to Sanskrit language, it has two components, Keshava and Dasa. So how do you actually split it? It's a compound word consisting of two words, namely Keshava and Dasa. So it is actually interpreted as Keshavasya Dasaha, Keshava Dasaha. It means the servant of Lord Keshava. So similarly, Narayana means the ayana of the Naras. What does Nara mean? It comes from the word Nara. Narasya ayam or Narasya idam Naram. That which is associated with Nara. So once again, here also Nara means a human being. You can consider it like that. So that which is associated with human beings, and one who likes that, like that also you can interpret it. As I mentioned, a word in Sanskrit can be interpreted in several ways. So for example, the word kapi. Kapi generally refers to a monkey. But in the, I don't know whether you are familiar with the episode that took place during Ramanujacharya's time. When Ramanujacharya's during Ramanujacharya's student days. It's a very important and very beautiful incident. Ramanujacharya was a very, very sensitive person. And he learned under a Advaita Acharya named Yadav Prakasha during his student days. So Ramanujacharya was the model student. And in those days, the student was supposed to perform different types of physical services to the Acharya, like pressing his feet or applying oil to his body or to his head if he had a headache or something like that, helping him with household chores and things like that. So once while Ramanujacharya was being taught the Chandogya Upanishad, the 6th chapter, at that time, Yadava Prakasha was, he had several students in front of him. Ramanujacharya being the premier student, he was applying oil to his back, it seems. At that time, Yadava Prakasha was explaining the meaning of the Vedic passage, Tasya yatha kapyasam pundarikam evam akshini. So the eyes of the Lord resemble what? Kapyasam pundarikam. So kapyasam means Yadav Prakasha interpreted as kapeha asa kapyasa. Asa means the back portion, which in local language we call rump or bum or something like that. It's not a very good word to use in a public context. But he said the eyes of the Lord Narayana or the Supreme Brahman resemble the rump of a monkey. Immediately, Ramanujacharya could not withstand such a commentary or such an explanation. And tears started rolling down his eyes. And they fell on the back of Yadav Prakasha, who immediately felt, what is this? I am feeling some water, something very hot, but at the same time liquid type of a thing which is falling on my back. Immediately he saw, and Ramanujacharya was weeping uncontrollably. Then he summoned Ramanujacharya, come here, why are you crying? Ramanujacharya said, sir, I don't agree with this interpretation because you are telling the eyes of the Supreme Lord resemble ... It means he could not even repeat what the Yadav Prakasha said. Many times we actually, somebody scolds us in a very vulgar language. What we say is, no, I don't want to repeat these words even as a reported speech. I'll avoid these speech. Or while writing, they will put dashes and they will put it within quote, within a single quote or quotes. Then he said, this is the meaning that has come to me from my Acharya. How can I actually give a different interpretation? Then Ramanujacharya said, Yasya Nishwasitam Veda. The Vedas are the very breath of the Supreme Lord. How can they mention something like this while describing the beauty of the Supreme Lord, which is extraordinary and which is incomparable to any object in this world? How can they say something like his eyes resemble the rump of a monkey? Then Yadav Prakasha asked, how is it? Then you give your interpretation, if you find this interpretation is wrong. Then immediately he said, Ramanujacharya said, Gambhirambhas samudbhuta ravikaranikara pundarika dala amalayate kshama. Very beautiful phrase. Gambhira ambha samudbhuta ravikara nikara vikasita pundarika dala amalayate. So you have to take into account the word that is in the middle. Kapyasam pundarikam evam akshini. So his eyes resemble the pundarika, the lotus, which is kapyasa. So what does it mean? Kapi means kam pibati iti kapi. The entity that actually drinks the liquid from the earth. That is the sun. Because when there is heat, the water evaporates. What does it mean? The water is actually drawn from the face of the earth. Then it becomes water vapor, and then it becomes a cloud. Once again, it is given back. That's a different story from the point of view of environment. But when does water evaporate? When there is the heat of the sun. That means the sun is the person or the entity that actually draws the water from the face of the earth. So kapehe kam pibati iti kapihi. So can anyone imagine that the word kapi can mean the sun? Nobody can. But that is the greatness, that is the peculiarity of Sanskrit language, that even a word like kapi can mean an entity like the sun. So that is what he says, Gambhira ambhas samudbhuta ravikara nikara vikasita pundarikadala amalaya tekshana. A beautiful phrase he has coined. So what does the entire passage mean? The Lord eyes of the Supreme Lord are like lotus, which blooms on account of the rising of the sun, who actually drinks away the water that is on the face of the earth. So that's what comes. Tasyetha kapyasam pundarikam eva lakshmi. Similarly, the word Narayana can be interpreted in several ways, which are all quite pertinent to the context. You can actually many times interpret it in a manner that is not pertinent to the context also. But in this case, there can be several meanings which are quite pertinent to the context of what is being mentioned here. So Naraha, Naranam, Ayanam. So what does Nara mean? So it means Narayanam, Narapadam, Narayanam, Narayanam, Narahayanamai, Ningshayen, Giradhatu Viderayan Tripadamai, Shaikum Vastuvaichulli. So Nara. So there is a root called Ringshaye. That means an entity that is bound to disintegrate or get lost, or that which disappears in time. That means a non-eternal entity. That is known by the word Nara. Just as we had Maha and Namaha, not Maha Namaha. Similarly, Ra means an entity that perishes in due course. It actually emerges from the root Ringshaye. So in Sanskrit, once again, there is a beautiful saying which says, Sarvam dhatu jamaha shakatasya tu. Every word in Sanskrit language, of course there are a few exceptions, are born from roots. And those roots are very much in line with the object itself. So, for example, when you have to say tiger, you say Vyaghra. So, when you say Vyaghra, it instills a sense of fear in you when you listen to the word itself. So, when you say Gau, it means a cow. it instills a sense of serenity, etc. So that is the beauty of Sanskrit language. And when you say Simha, Simha means a lion. So that word itself, or you say Kanthirava. So that means the word itself is so capable, so potent, that even for a person who doesn't know the meaning, he may probably be able to make out what it means. So here it means, so that is why I can go on and on about that, but that's not pertinent to the context. So Ra means a non-eternal entity, and Na Ra means that which is not a non-eternal entity, which means an eternal entity. So that which is associated with Nara, non-eternal entity, or that which is associated with non-eternal entities, means that which is associated with eternal entities is known as Nara. So that's what is mentioned in the sutra. Narangalavana nitya vastukkalinudaya thiral. The word Nara refers to the essence of all that is eternal in the Supreme Lord. Tat Purusha Bahuri. So first he says the Tat Purushanil Arthatte Mundara Varudichehira Narangalakkayanam Yenna Padi Narangala Hiravedan Yavayenna Varudichehira Narangalavana Nityavastukkalinudaya Tirallenne Narapadam innum Nara innum Naraha innumai rinkshe enkira dhaatuvile Ra endru padamai ksheikkum vastuவை சொல்லி நகாரம் மத்தை நிஷேதித்து நரா என்று க்ஷயமில்லாத நித்தியவஸ்துவை காட்டி சமூகார்த்தத்திலே அன்பிரத்தியும் ஆதிவிருத்தியுமாய் நாரஹா என்று நித்தியவஸ்து சமூகத்தை சொல்லுகையானே. So here the one more suffix is added to the word Nara, which becomes Nara, which means the group of eternal entities, which is what Naraha actually means. Solli Naraha endru bahuvachanamahiyade samuha bahulyatthayum solluheyade nityavastukkalinudaya thiral engirar. Idil nitya engayade dharashabdarthamam vastukkal engayade Narashabdartham avattinuடைய திரள் என்கையாலே பகுவச்சனார்த்தமும் சொல்லப்பட்டதிரே. So three components of the meaning are given by three aspects in the word Nara, Nara and Naraha. So Nara means Nara means an eternal entity. Nara means those that are associated with eternal entities. And Naraha means groups of those that are associated with eternal entities. Which are the eternal entities that are being mentioned here? So he gives a long list. Avayavana, Jnana, Ananda, Amaratvadihanam, Jnana Shaktyadihanam, Vatsalya Saushilyaadihanam, Tirumenium, Kanti Saukumariyadihanam, Divya Bhushanangalam, Divyayudangalam, etc. So several groups of eternal entities. So first group is Jnana, Ananda, Amaratvadihanam. Jnana is omni, knowing everything. What is that called? Omniscience. Yes. Omniscience and unsurpassed bliss, Ananda. Amalatva, absence of any, even a small iota of fault or fallacy. So these all constitute one group of qualities, eternal qualities that are eternally associated with the eternal Lord Narayana. So these are the different groups of eternal entities. Then Jnana Shaktyadihanam, Jnana, Shakti, Bala, Aishwarya, Virya, Tejamsi. These six are the most important qualities that enable us to address the Lord by the word Bhagavan, because Shannam Bhagaitirana, Jnana, Shakti, Bala, Aishwarya, Virya, and Tejas. So these form one group. Then Vatsalya, Saushilya, Dihanam. So Vatsalya, Saushilya, etc. These all form a group. I will explain that once again. That means the qualities that enable the Supreme Lord to bless ordinary sinners like us, or sinner individual souls like us. Tirumenium, then the Divyamangala Vigraha he possesses, which is eternal once again. Kanti Saukumarya Dihanam. So the beauty of his being, that is Kanti, lustrous, Saukumarya, most subtle in the sense. Sukumara means so soft. So qualities like that. Then Divya Bhushanangadam. Divya Bhushanangadam means the different Kirita Makuta Chudatam Samakara Kundala Grive Karke Yorakatakashi Vatsakostubha Mukta Damodara Bandana Pitambara Kanchi Gunanupurad Jananta Guna Divya Bhushana. That's what he says in Gadjatra. So all the different types of ornaments that adorn the Divya Mangala Vigraha are the unique, auspicious, divine form, divine body of the Lord. Divine, we don't call it body, but I don't know what is the other word, because in Sanskrit we say Vigraha. We don't say Sharira. But I don't know whether there is any other word which, form, that's all. Form has some other connotations also. Anyway, for want of a better word, we say form. So Swami Manavada Mamani comments upon each of these. He says, Jnana Nanda Maratva Dihal Bhavana Swarupa Nirupaka Dharmangal Adi Shabdattare Anantattayum Shabduhirani. So here you have to know two very important aspects associated with the theoretical foundations of Vishishtadvaita. So one is called, there are two types of attributes in an entity, or an object, or a substance for that matter. One is called Swarupa Nirupaka Dharma. That means the unique attribute that defines that object. That is known as Swarupa Nirupaka Dharma. And the other type of attribute is known as Nirupita Swarupa Vishesha. That means the common characteristics that exist in that substance. So this is explained as follows in the Vishishtadvaita philosophy. For example, you take an animal called a cow. So what is its unique feature? An attribute that is exclusive to the cow. So according to the Indian tradition, the Indian cow, the unique feature a cow possesses is what is known as Gotvam, or cowness. But how do you define cowness once again? Further we say Sasnadimattam, it should have what is known as a dewlap. And also Kakut, that means it has a hump or hump-like thing. All the Indian breed cows, they have a hump on the back here in this place. The exotic breeds, like the breeds that have been imported to India from Western countries, they don't have that. But as far as dewlap is concerned, all cows have it. So the Gotva or the Sasnadimattam, having the dewlap here, is the Swarupa Nirupaka Dharma of a cow. That means the unique feature or unique attribute that denotes a cow. Then there might be several other characteristics or attributes, like it has 4 legs, it has a tail, it has 2 eyes, it has horns, etc. These are all common characteristics, because even if you say 4 legs, even horses have 4 legs, even elephants have, even buffaloes have, etc. If you say tail, yes, buffaloes also have a tail. So several animals like that. So these are common characteristics which are not exclusive to the cow. So they are called as Nirupita Swarupa Vishesha. Or for example, if you take an elephant, what is the unique feature of an elephant? It has a trunk, which no other animal on the planet has. So the trunk is the Swarupa Nirupaka Dharma of an elephant, or the unique feature, that is exclusive to an elephant, that defines it. Other features having 4 legs, having a tail, having 2 eyes, etc. They are called as Nirupita Swarupa Vishesha. Once you have identified the elephant by its unique characteristic, then these common characteristics also exist. Similarly, as far as the Lord is concerned, the Jnana, Ananda, Amalatva, Jnana, Ananda, Amalatva, and also he says one more, Anantatva, endlessness. These are the Swarupa Nirupaka Dharmas. These are the unique features that help us identify the Supreme Lord, which are exclusive to the Supreme Lord. Then, Jnana Shaktyarihanam Avana Nirupita Swarupa Visheshangalana Samasta Kalyana Gunangalakkum Pradhanamayirandulla Jnana Shakti Palaishwarya Virya Tejasakkadahira Shed Gunangal. Then, once we know that this is the Supreme Lord by means of Jnana, Ananda, etc., then you have these 6 qualities which come to our notice. Our notice means those who have had the vision of the Supreme Lord, not me or you. So they Nirupita Swarupa Visheshangalana Samasta Kalyana Gunangalam. All the auspicious qualities that exist in the Supreme Lord, of which these 6 are most important. Vatsalya Saushilya Avana Andashadgunyayattamana Vatsalya Saushilya Swamitva Saurabhyadya Sankhe Kalyana Guna Visheshangal. Among the auspicious qualities also, there are several special auspicious qualities. So these auspicious qualities, which are Vatsalya, Saushilya, Swamitva, Saurabhya, etc. So what is Vatsalya? Have I explained the term Vatsalya in detail earlier? So Vatsalya is the nature of the Supreme Lord, where he even enjoys the fallacies or faults that exist in the Jivatma and accepts them as if they are most enjoyable. That is based on the analogy of a cow that has just given birth to its calf. So as soon as the calf is delivered, it starts licking all the portions of the calf in a very furious manner, as if it is possessed. So it doesn't take into account the dirt or dirtiness that exists on the body of the calf, since it has been in the womb for such a long time. So even the dirt, etc., that exists, or unclean aspects that are there in the body of the calf are not taken into account. In fact, the cow we feel as though the cow is enjoying those things. That is known as Vatsalya, Vatsam, Sabhyam, Kamabale, etc. is very defined beautifully. Then Vatsalya, Saushilya, Sushila, good-naturedness. So what is the mark of a good-natured person? So suppose somebody has treated me in a very shabby manner, in a very impertinent manner, and I meet that person I say, Namaste, sir, how are you? Please come inside. How do you do? I behave with utmost modesty and respect with regard to a person who has abused me or who has done several wrong things to me. That is known as Saushilya. Sushila, good-naturedness. That means not remembering something bad that a person has done to me or to the concerned person, and treating him in a very, very, very dignified and nice manner. That is known as Saushilya. Then Swamitva, lordship. So unless he is our Lord, how can he protect us? So these are all the qualities that are conducive or most instrumental in the Lord protecting us, enabling the Lord to protect us. And then Saulabhya. Saulabhya means easy approachability. Suppose I want to meet Bill Gates today, is it possible? Or I want to meet Joe Biden. I may write an email or something like that, or even you may write an email, an American citizen, he will say, I am not free for the next 6 months. Or you may say, you come in 2023 or 2024. This time giving an example. That's all. It's not to be taken in a literal sense. So, the Lord is not so. He is easily approachable, most easily approachable, because he resides within us only. But it's most difficult also from another point of view, it's very difficult to approach him also. Because he is so far away from us, not literally but spiritually. That's why the Isha Asum says, Tad dure tad vadantike. He is so near yet so far. He is so far yet so near. So it's a paradoxical statement. Tirumenium, in the Tirumeni are his Divya Mangala Vigraha. Ada Tirumeniyavadi Asadharanamana Divya Mangala Vigraham Ekavachanam Jatyabhiprayamai Nityamana Divya Mangala Vigrahatayum Aichikama Parigrahikkum Vigrahantarangalayum Shollirade. One very important concept is mentioned here. He says Tirumenium, that means his divine form. So Swami Manavana comments upon it very beautifully. He says, take it as Jatyeka Vachana. What does Jatyeka Vachana mean? Jatyeka Vachana means you take it in a general sense. When I say a human being is a social animal, if I give a statement. So the word human being does not refer to any one person like Keshav Das or me or Ram Srinivas or Sundar Gopal. It means all human beings are social animals. So this is known as Jatyeka Vachana in Sanskrit. So he says, when you say Tirumeni, it means all the innumerable Divya Mangala Vigrahas he possesses. But among them, he says, Nityamana Divya, he has one divine form, for example, which is there in the eternal Vaikuntha. And then, Aichikamaha Parigrahikkum Vigrahantarangalayum Sholluhiradi. On his own accord, he may take several thousands, billions of forms, which are all his Divya Mangala Vigrahas or divine forms only. So he may choose Aichikama. Aichika means he may choose to take any form. That's why Nammalvar says, Inninniyoniyumai Perendarimayor Taleva. He took the form of a fish, a tortoise, a boar, then a man lion, etc. Then when we come to Srimad Bhagavatam, we talk about 24 avatars or incarnations. Generally, we talk about 10 avatars or incarnations, but in Bhagavata, it talks about 24 avatars. So, Keshav Das ji, an expert, acclaimed expert in Bhagavatam. So, Hamsa avatara, Hayagriva avatara, beautiful, wonderful avatars. So there are, he actually takes, so we don't know even now, the Lord might have taken an incarnation, because it will be known only to those to whom he reveals himself. So my Acharya used to quote several instances of how God has taken different incarnations, which will be known only to those to whom he reveals it, and not to those to whom he doesn't want them to reveal. So even if the person who is an incarnation of God is standing before me, if the Lord does not wish I should realize it, he will never realize. That person will never be able to realize. Even in the story of Tyagaraja, or even Tulsidas, we come across several instances. So in Tulsidas, his divine story, it seems that a person, a very old person, used to come and listen to his discourses on Ramcharitmanas, which is nothing but the Hindi rendering of Ramayana. Very beautiful rendering. It is universally acclaimed even today. In all Indian languages, we have the redactions of Ramayana. We have it in Tamil, Kamba Ramayana, beautiful. Who has Kamba Ramayana, Kambar, the great Kavi known Kambar, he has composed a beautiful verse on Nammalvar. I don't know whether you know about it or not in Tamil. So in Kannada you have, in Telugu you have, in Marathi you have, in all Indian languages we have the redactions of Ramayana. And even in Tyagaraja's story, Tyagaraja, so who was a unique devotee of Lord Rama. So he actually, it seems that Lord Rama himself came to the place where Tyagaraja used to sing divinely, not sing for some person. Once, because in the beautiful story of Tyagaraja, it seems that the king invited him to his court and asked him to sing with, and he said, I'll give you any amount of money. And Tyagaraja said, I'll never come to any place, any court or any place, any auditorium and sing. I will sing in my house to propitiate Rama. Then the king asked through one of his disciples, can I come and sit here when Tyagaraja is singing? Yes, you are welcome. He doesn't actually really mind who is listening or who is not listening, because he loses himself in a divine ecstasy when he sings about the Lord Rama. So if you want to come and sit here, yes, you are welcome. Nobody will prevent you. And then it seems the king came and sat as a commoner, disguised himself as a commoner and listened to Lord Tyagaraja singing. Similarly, even Nammalvar says, Ennavilin kavi naan oruvarkkum kodukkireen. The words that are emanating from my mouth or through my tongue, it is reserved for the Supreme Lord only and not for anybody else. Of course, he sings the paeans, or he sings the greatness of his devotees, of the devotees of the Supreme Lord, but they are also, once again, Bhagavatas who are connected with Bhagavan. That is why. So that is the uniqueness of the devotees. So that is what. So Aichikam Allah Adapurya. So to come back to the point, Aichikamaha Parigrahitpum Vigrahantarangadayum Shaluyam. So the Lord can take any form. Yeah, that is why, as mentioned, during Tyagaraja's divine singing, it seems the Lord himself disguised himself as a commoner and sat there, which Tyagaraja came to know only later, because he had lost himself in the ecstasy of singing, that he failed to realize Lord Rama himself had come and he was present. So those are the divine forms that the Lord can take at his own will. Allah the Podu, Oro Samuhama in Nivarhina, Vakaranatikcherade, Yudan Nadavil, Terevi, Better, Achan Pillai, Iver Aruliche, the Prabang, Prabandang, Gedide, Suspashtam. So there is a beautiful episode that took place between a great devotee called Nadavil Terevi Pillai Bhattar and Achan Pillai. I will explain that episode in the next class. Kanti Saukumariya Dihalavana and the Vigraha Gunangala Saundarya Saukumariya Saugandhya Lavanya Yavana Dihal. So Kanti Saukumariya, etc. Kanti lustrousness, Saukumariya extreme softness. That means it is so delicate. The supreme, the divine form of the Lord is so delicate. Of course, it is at the same time so harsh. It means in Sanskrit we say Vajradapi Kathorani Briduli Kusumadapi. It is stronger than the most strongest entity in the world, that is the diamond. It is softer than the softest entity in the world, that is the flower, like a rose or something like that. So that is the greatness of the Supreme God, that it is so soft, it is so enjoyable. So that is why when in the Pashanams of Nammalvar, in the Psalms of Nammalvar, we see the Lord actually touches Nammalvar with his divine form. And then he just withdraws for a few moments. Then Nammalvar starts crying. Why did you remove your hand from my body? It was so enjoyable. Please give it to me. Please give it to me. So he becomes addicted to the touch of the Supreme God. So that is the greatness, that is Saukumarya, etc. So we cannot experience it in our current position because we are far removed from the Lord. But we can experience it through the words of Nammalvar, who says it is so, it is so, it is so. So only a person who has enjoyed the divine touch, the divine sense of touch, or the sense of divine touch, we can understand, enjoy all these things. So that is Saundarya, Saukumarya, Saugandhya, Lavanya. So what is the difference between Saundarya and Lavanya? These are all explained in great detail in the Indian epics, especially the epics that deal with the science of poetics, which is a huge topic in Sanskrit literature. So Lavanya also means beauty, Saundarya also means beauty. What is the difference? So it means, Saundarya means overall beauty. So there are two ways of identifying beauty in a person. So some persons, for example, if you take, I should not give this example, but for the sake of understanding, I am telling it. So when you see a film actress, you feel, oh, she is wonderful, so beautiful, most beautiful woman on the earth, they will say with regard to some actress, let us say. So there, one may say her eyes are very nice, her nose is very nice, her lips are very nice, her ears are very nice, etc., etc. That means the individual aspects like the nose, etc. So that is beauty of the individual aspect is known as Lavanya. This is Avayava Shobha. But overall, she may not be very good to look at. Whereas another actress may be, overall, she may be very good to look at, but when you look at the individual aspect like eye, ear, etc., it may not be very good. But the Lord is endowed with immaculate beauty, both in terms of overall beauty as well as the individual aspects. It is both Samudaya Shobha and Avayava Shobha. So that's why Saukumarya, Saugandhya, Lavanya. Then Yauvana, eternal youthhood, which never deteriorates or degenerates. In Saugandhya, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful smell, divine smell that emanates from the Divya Mangala Vigraha, the divine form of the Lord. Divya Bhushanangalavana, Abharana Churnene, Bhashyakar Arulichedapadiye, Kiritadinu Purantamana, Attirumenikki, Shattum, Asankheyamana Tiruvabharanangal. So Manavada Mamani also, I had not read this. I mentioned the verse from the passage from the Gadyatraya. So by Manavada Mamani, in fact, what I have mentioned has already been mentioned by Manavada Mamani, which he says, Kirita Makuta Chudavatam Sakirita no Purantama Kirita Makuta Chudavatam Samakara Kundala Griveka Rake Yurakataka Sri Vatsakaustava Mukta Damodara Bandhana Pitambara Kanchi Guna Nupuradyananta. He says, Kirita Adi Nupurantama. So these are all individual ornaments starting from the crown. Kirita, Makuta, Chudavatamsa, Makarakundala, Griveka, different ornaments that adorn the entire Divya Mangala Vigraha, divine form of the Lord. Nearly 20 or 25 have been mentioned. So you can look that up in the Gadyatraya and see what they literally mean. I will not go into, because even I am not aware of the exact literal translations. So Makarakundala means the earrings. Greveka, Keyura, Kataka, Srivatsa, Kaustubha, Mukta, Damodara, Bandhana, Pitambara, Kanchi, Gunanupura, etc. Shatum Asankhe Yamana Kalyatirvaparanangal. So we stop here today. We continue next week. So we conclude with the Mangala Shloka. Jedramam Jetyesha Chatura Chaturakshari Kamavastham Prapadyante Jantavo Antamadrisha Punyam Bhoja Vikasaya Papadhvanta Kshayaya Cha Shriman Bhumau Ramanuja Divakaraha Tridīkrita Virinchāri Nirankusha Vibhūtayaha Ramam Japadam Bhoja Samashrena Shalinaha.